Welcome to the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and connected to the miraculous energy of unconditional love that I call Mother Mary. If you're a highly sensitive, highly creative entrepreneur or light worker, and you want to magnify your impact and your intuition, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Reverend Frances Faden, interfaith minister, intuitive coach, and author of Meditation is Friendship with God. I can't wait to share miraculous stories, books, meditations, messages, and interviews with other miraculous light workers just like you. Are you ready to magnify your miracles? What are we waiting for? Let's get started. Hello, my miraculous friend, and welcome to another episode of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. This is Reverend Frances Faden, and I am so grateful that we get to spend this time together helping you magnify your miracles. Today, I'd like to talk to you, the light worker, the creative entrepreneur, the spiritual entrepreneur, you, the person that has a gift to share with the world. And I want to talk to you about something about how you can be more successful. And there's really a secret that people don't tell light workers. And it ends up making all of us feel a little stuck and a little confused and struggling more than we need to be struggling. And I'm going to share this secret with you. I'm going to show you what I've learned all my years of being a light worker here on the planet and in a creative entrepreneur. What's the thing that makes all the other things really work? Now, I want you to get the most out of our episode today. So I'm going to ask you to take a breath with me and just breathe in the energy of expansion. And I'm going to ask you to do this because every time we do this, we make ourselves more open and receptive so you can get the most out of being here with me today. We're just going to take a minute. As we breathe in the energy of expansion, let's just breathe out whatever we no longer need. And knowing that whatever you need to hear today to help you move forward in a powerful way to magnify your miracles is exactly what's going to be happening. Let's take one more deep breath together in gratitude, and we can begin. All right, my miraculous friend. Well, you are a light worker. This podcast, I created it specifically for light workers and creative entrepreneurs and spiritual entrepreneurs as a source of inspiration, to give you resources, to really help you with, both things, with feeling spiritually connected and inspired, and also helping you to put your work out in the world and be more successful. So I do both of those things for people. And something I'm going to share with you has to do with really helping you honor who you are as a light worker and the path that we follow to be successful. And this is what nobody's telling you. It's almost like it's a secret. No one's telling us this. If you're a light worker, you already live outside of the cultural paradigm. You already follow your own path. You have your own way of being in the world. If you were just simply doing what everybody else was doing, you probably wouldn't even identify necessarily as a light worker or as a creative entrepreneur. You'd probably be working for somebody else or, doing something different. But just the fact that you identify and say, no, I am a light worker. And that doesn't mean that you can't be working in a job or something like that. But there's a part of you that wants to follow your own path. And what I'm telling you today is this is the most important thing you need to do to be successful. There is no way of success that works for everybody. Light workers must follow their own path. You must follow your own path because it's in your makeup. You're already this. You're already somebody that is not doing what the norm is telling you to do. You're following your inner guidance. And a lot of people get confused because they think, I want to be this light worker. I want to be this creative entrepreneur. I really want to do, what I feel called to do in the world. And then they start looking for the way to do it, like somebody else's way. Now, there's nothing wrong with emulating what people do. There's nothing wrong with having people that you follow and you say, some of what she's doing is what I'd like to be doing. But even in the thing you've been trained to do, whether that thing is like intuitive astrology, or that thing might be doing some kind of energy healing or Reiki, or maybe you write really inspirational books, or maybe you have a particular way that you show up and you spread light in the world, whatever it is, even if you've been trained in a certain way, you're still going to have your way of doing it. And this is why it's so important. I talked about this a couple of episodes ago. The big lie that light workers believe is that, oh no, if there's somebody else doing it, then I can't do it. Like I have to be the only one. Well, one of the things you want to recognize is somebody else's path to success might not be your path. You have to honor you. You have to honor your energy. You have to honor your instincts and your intuition and what feels right for you. Your way of connecting with people, your way of doing what you're doing is the key to your success. Now, this is one of the things I do in my coaching practice, in my mentoring practice, where I do help light workers, creative entrepreneurs, as I help you figure out what that is. How are you wired for success? What is the path that's going to be easiest for you, that is natural for you? And most people have such a hard time doing it. This is why I coach them over a period of time. Because even when I tell them, this is the way that your energy really is, you're kind of wired this way. A lot of people will say, oh, that's absolutely true. But what about this course I just took or that I just signed up for? And then they go off in this direction and they end up getting stuck and struggling, and more time passes and they're not doing their work in the world. Well, it's so important for me that you do your work in the world. You're this beautiful divine puzzle piece that fits perfectly in the mosaic of the world. You fit perfectly. The things that you love, the things that matter to you, fits perfectly into the cosmic design, because God created you that way. The divine created you to have the things that you love, to not the things that you don't love. Like everything about the way you are is perfect for what you're supposed to be doing. So if you keep taking this beautiful, unique puzzle piece that you are and you try fitting that like square peg in a round hole or round hole in a square, whatever it might be, you lose that authenticity, you lose your uniqueness. You must follow your path to succeed. Yes, there may be some practical things, like somebody else knows how to do, email marketing a certain way, or they know how to do the technical aspect of getting your website set up, and all of that is fine. You need somebody to help you with that. But I'm talking about the way you do what you do and the way you talk about what you do and how you put yourself out there, how you connect. You're going to have your own way to succeed. Now, there are some people that they love writing. And so they write articles and they do blog posts and they huge success. And that really works for them. There's some people like me that we love speaking and talking. And so we have podcasts, or maybe we go out and we actually speak in front of people. And that's how we connect with people, or we do interviews and those kinds of things. There are other people that they really do well with the one-on-one. So they go to networking events or things like that, and they do really, really well under those circumstances. Everybody is different. Some people, they love writing. They want to write a book, and they write book after book after book. And that's how they grow their audience. There's no wrong way to do it. The challenge is trying to do all of it instead of doing what works for you and what's really right for you. So this is from my heart to yours. I really want to share this with you. I get it. I've been on this path for a long, long time. And I've looked to all the teachers and all the gurus, and everybody has their own recipe. It's like they're saying, try this recipe, try this recipe. And you know what? All those recipes work for that person. And if I'm wired like that person, it'll probably work for me. And that person is going to have a whole bunch of testimonials of people that are going to say, oh my God, I followed the recipe and that worked for me. Probably because those people are wired like that person. And that's great. But if you're not wired like that person, and I've taken many a class with people that are wired differently than me, you're going to end up frustrated, and you're going to keep going up against the same wall, both internally and externally. And I want you to succeed. And I'm going to tell you, you're wired to succeed. You're wired to succeed exactly as you are. And so do me a favor. Say, Reverend Francis, I'm willing to do you a favor. And just let go of trying to figure out like all the different ways, because you're going to scatter your energy, and start focusing on how you're actually wired. Now, if you don't know how you're wired, obviously you can work with somebody like me. You can schedule a miracle meeting and you and I can talk about whether or not coaching is an option for you or not. But even if you can't work with me, start with something. Start learning about yourself. Simple things. Are you a morning person or are you an evening person? When is your energy the strongest? Do you like writing? Do you like speaking? Do you like connecting one-on-one? How do you like connecting with people? Start getting clear with yourself of how do you want to show up in the world? Now, the biggest thing that's going to come up is you're going to have a voice that's going to tell you, you can't do that. It's going to tell you, boom, just like that. It's going to say, oh my God, you can't do that. That's not how it is. Well, I'm going to share a story with you because you know I love sharing stories with you. So before I moved out to California, I was living in New York, and I was actually staying on Long Island for the summer before we moved to California. And I knew this gentleman who had this soup business. He was a chef. Now, most people go and become a chef because they want to own a restaurant. They love working with food, but most people will tell you, if you're going to be a chef, you got to work nights, you got to work weekends, you got to work long days. Food industry, that's just the way it is. But this gentleman, instead of saying, how can I fit into what other people say is successful? He asked himself, what do I really want? Now, his wife had just had a baby, and he didn't want to be working nights and weekends. He wanted to be able to spend time with his son. By the time I met him, his son was about a year old. So cute. And he really, really wanted to be there. He didn't want to be doing this. And he said to himself, I want to work Monday through Friday, and I want to be done with work by 4:00. And most people said to him, you can't do that. You're a chef. You have to work weekends. You have to work when the people want to go out to eat. But instead, he asked himself what he wanted. And he's like, I really want to work Monday through Friday. And I basically want to be done by 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So what ended up happening? What ended up happening was he started thinking about, what can I do as a chef? And what popped in his mind was lunch. Lunch. He opened a lunch-based restaurant, and he focused on what he loved, which was making soups. And he used to make 3 to 4 delicious soups every day. His place opened up around 10. He opened up a store that was in this area of people that were working, like office people. So people weren't even there on the weekends. This was, I think it might have been like a lot of people working in the legal department. I don't know what it was, but it was office people basically that worked Monday through Friday and needed a place to go get a really good lunch. And he had all these fancy breads that he would sell, but he had all these different beautiful soups, and people would come line out the door. And this was his beautiful business. And he did wonderfully well. He got so successful that he started doing the other thing that was important to him, was to start providing these beautiful soups to kids in the local schools. And so he ended up contracting with a local school and bringing in soup to feed the kids. And he loved feeding the kids. Oh my God, he used to make them so happy. So here's a perfect example of somebody who, creative entrepreneur, right? He's a chef, didn't want to do the thing that everybody said you have to do. You got to work weekends, you got to work nights. And instead he said, what do I want? And then how can I do that? This is such an important lesson. You focus on you, and then you say, how can I make this work, rather than trying to fit yourself into something. As a light worker, you're already doing it your way. You got to do it your way, my friend. That's the secret to success is you got to do it your way. Now, I don't mean to be like, rigid about things. I mean, honoring yourself, honor your energy. I love helping people learn A, what their energy is telling them, and B, how they can honor their energy. And when I work with people over time, it's amazing what starts to happen when people honor their energy. And sometimes people say, oh, Reverend Francis, since I've been working with you. I'm like, yeah, it's because you're working with me, but it's because we are working with your energy and you're listening. And as you listen, you get real-time feedback letting you know this is what works. This is how it's working for you. And then you honor that. Now, you always have a choice not to honor it, but why would you do that, right? You want to learn how to honor your energy. So my friends, this is my simple advice to you is honor how you're wired and decide for yourself what success looks like to you, and then go down your path. It's got to be your way. You need to do it your way. A lot of people are going to tell you, don't do it that way, do it this way. Follow this path. This is the way to do it. But because you're already a light worker, because you're a creative entrepreneur, you're already wired to do it differently. You're already wired to do it your own way. Honor that. Honor that. That's the secret. So I would love to know your thoughts about this concept. And if you're willing to follow your own path, honor how you, not only how you're wired, but what you really want to do. And let go of all the naysayers that say that's not possible. You can't do it that way. You can't be successful that way. Everybody that's successful did it their own way. Now it's your chance to do it your way. If you want some help with that, if you want to work with somebody like me, I would love for you to schedule a miracle meeting with me. You can go to francisfaden.com/miracle meeting if you're interested in coaching. If you're not interested in coaching, that's not the call for you. But if you are interested in coaching, schedule a miracle meeting with me, and you and I will talk about what's your dream and how can we help you to move forward so that you can actually magnify your miracles. All right, my friend, if you found this episode helpful, I would love it if you could leave me a review. That would help me out so much. And also leave a comment and let me know what you think, because I love talking to you and answering your comments. Always remember, my friend, that the key to magnifying your miracles is knowing that your miracle is already here. God bless you, my friends. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. I'm so grateful to be able to spend this time with you. If you want even more inspiration, feel free to visit my website, francisfaden.com or magnifyyourmiracles.com. And if you did enjoy this episode, I would really appreciate it if you left a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever it is that you connect with awesome podcasts. Remember, the key to magnifying your miracles is remembering that your miracle is already here.